I'd entertain a motion to accept the printed minutes of the June 20th meeting. There's support. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And we have the public comment.
Yes, on the agenda.
On the agenda item,
It'll be on agenda items only right now.
correct. I may be obliged here. This is a picture of my home, which we purchased back in the 90s from Burdette and Otis Wright. And the property to the north, you can clearly see our line, our fence line. I'll give you a color. The other color is black lights. Anyway, this piece of property to the north of my house is approximately 1,640 feet. Your hard work by your planning commission is keeping it safe.
We aren't gonna talk about this.
I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, I want you to know this is where I live. Okay, I want you to see, this is where, how close it is.
Is there gonna be a separate public comment on the wind? Because I think it's on the agenda, so that's why they're commenting.
You don't want to know about this.
Not especially not right now,
When can I speak then?
when we're
So
done.
I'm not taking away my rights to speak at this meeting. is not
You'll
taken
have
away.
after.
So do I have to leave these here? Thank you.
Any other comments?
Just to clarify, there's gonna be a separate, before we discuss it as a planning commission, the public will be able to talk about, okay.
What was your
Yeah,
question?
you said it's on the agenda, and wind is on the agenda. So it is public comment, and it is our time to speak.
Well,
It is on the agenda, sir.
it is on the agenda, but we've done it before the other way around, so I'm gonna have
Well,
our
then I have
meeting
my
the same
opportunity
as
to
we've
speak.
had it in the past.
Violation of open meetings.
As long as it's
Just wanna
before.
be clear on that.
Larry, you're right, they can speak about the wind right now. We don't have a meeting, we don't have anything before, we talked about the wind.
Come on, go ahead and talk.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan.
Okay, and I started it
I'm
wrong,
sorry,
without,
I'm sorry.
that's fine. I started it off right, my name is Pat Clark, I live on 7724 Vining Road, Cato Township. The picture that I presented, is where I live. It was given to us by the previous owners. Our fence line is approximately 1,640 feet from a piece of property that is signed up to the wind company. As you as a board, when you go over what the planning commission has proposed, please keep this in mind. This is my home. This is where I plan to retire. I did get one call from one of our board members, an interrupted conversation with him, and he said nothing was gonna happen the other side of Diener Road. Unfortunately, I live north of Diener Road, 1 block. So I don't know where the confusion lies, but I can only put my trust in the hard work that the planning commission has done. And I do wish that you guys would at least look at this. This is where I live. I don't need a turbine 600 feet from my bedroom. Please keep that in mind. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Jamie Snyder, Cato Township. First, our planning commission has put in so much time and effort. They have done fantastic. Please, I encourage you to vote through what they have. I have FOIA requested what Apex had requested. I have listened to the PC, county planning PC, and they encouraged what Apex had wrote. These ordinances are not for Apex. They are for us. Apex should have no choice in any of this. This is for us. Who comes in next? What company? Let's protect our people from other companies too. This is, if Apex wasn't here, how would you vote on this? So I ask that you just keep an open mind and know that these guys have done a ton of work, and we really appreciate everything that they've done. And hopefully we can just get this passed and move on to the next subject. Thank you.
Jim Youngman, Cato Township. I'm thinking back, back in the '70s, when wind and solar first got going, and I got quite interested in it. I even took a couple of classes at Jordan College in Cedars about it. And so when the wind thing started coming up, turbines and all, I was intrigued with it. But my daughter, Rochelle, lives over outside of Unionville in the Thumb, and they've got a lot of them over there. And I looked at what they have over there, their demographics there versus us. You know, they have large fields over there. They have very little irrigation. They're flat land, and they also have a smaller population. And compared to what we have here, you know, when I remember about the wind thing from this classes, you know, flat land is much better because you have turbulence when you have hills like we have here. So that first got me interested. Why would they want to come to Montcalm, not only our end of Montcalm? But then, you know, we've got smaller fields here. We've got a lot of irrigation, so farmers aren't going to put it in the middle of their fields. They got to put it on the edges. And then we've got people, residential homes along all of our country roads, a lot more than what I've seen over there. And so you're putting a lot of people in close contact with these turbines. And it just, to me, it doesn't really make sense of why we should have them here. Also, just the idea of thinking that this type of energy is gonna be sustainable for everything, which seems to be the idea of some. I don't see that, you know. I can see using it for the supplement that we have now. That's not a bad idea in areas that can really sustain it well, like over there. But that's my opinion on that. I guess I want to say too, I'm just the idea of how this has made such a controversy in the area. I hate seeing that. It you know, my family's been here a long time, and a lot of your families have been here a long time, and we have differences of opinion. That's just the way it is. And we should be able to say those things, but we don't need to get that heated as it has gotten in the past. I hope that can be calmed.
Anybody else?
Matt Hubbard, Cato Township. I just asked that you guys do what you said 9 months ago. Your plan commission, whatever they do, you will go for. You did say that. And they put a lot of hard work and a lot of time into both sides listening, not just a few friends, both sides. So I would ask you to go with what they come up with, because that is their job. You give that job to them. That's all I ask.
Anybody else?
Dennis Lansing, Cato Township. Don't embarrass us, guys. Known all you guys a long time. This got so biased. Don't do it. Just do what's right. That's all I ask. Nothing more.
Anybody else?
Jim, I'm glad you said what you did, because I do think that it's really important as a community that we work together and are able to listen to each other and be able to find common ground when we can find it. and when there isn't common ground, for us to be able to have respect, decency, and enough good humor, that we recognize that over generations in this community, there have been differences of opinion around many, many issues. And so I'm grateful that I'm in a community where I can say that I'm very much in favor of wind energy, and I know that there aren't gonna be boos or hisses or people thinking that I'm somehow off my rocker. And from what I see about the desperate need of our nation to move away from the kinds of energy footprints that kill loons in the New England lakes because of the acid rain that over the history of our coal-fired plants have done that. We need to do something if we love our environment. And again, there are issues that we differ on about how that might happen. But I think sometimes we've just lost sight of that bigger picture that the council saw back in the 1930s and 40s when folks came in and they said, we're gonna drill holes all over in your community. We're gonna put up derricks that are gonna blight the landscape. But it created the engine of opportunity for Lakeview, for not only the village council, but also for the wider community. Hugh Johnson, who I came to know and love, came up here and found his bride. And just so many ways in which things that we look back on and realize they were the right decision. I really hope that 30 years from now, when GM is running only electric trucks, well, that's probably what a lot of people said when folks drove the first automobile into Lakeview and never thought that they'd see the end of horse-drawn transportation. But anyway, what I just wanted to say is there is a big picture. And the big picture is not only about the integrity of landowners being able to make choices about their land and its use and the funds they receive for it, but also for a community that's able to say, we can hear differences and not be so polarized and not be so antithetical to what someone might say that they see them as some kind of enemy. There's no enemies here. It's a community. And a community representing people who would like to see investment of wind energy and people who would not. That's the community. And so I just want to encourage you to see the big picture. And I do thank you, Jim, for pointing out that we need to be able to hear each other without recrimination, without a sense of seeing someone as the other or as some kind of enemy, because we're not. And I'm so grateful that I chose to retire here after 42 years of ministry, because this is a wonderful community. People have sold homes for us.
I'm going to, we have 11.
Okay, thanks a lot, Larry.
Thank you very much
A
for,
preacher sometimes can go long.
anybody else?
Kevin Murphy, Winfield Township. I really appreciate everything you said, as well, you encouraged what he said. The main point was our property. You can do whatever you want, wherever you want on your property. When it gets to my fence, it should be my ground, our own personal space. So if you wanna have a setback, set it back. The noise should be at our property line, the lights, the flash, all that at our property line, not at our dwellings and to infringe on it. It's very important. The Planning Commission worked so hard to put that into place. They did a great job, and I agree with what Jamie said. Please accept what they've done. Matt reiterated, they worked hard. You guys put your trust in them. You should follow what they suggest. That's all. Thank you.
Anybody else, so we can move on?
Hi, Dawn Sweet, I'm in Pine Township. Just on a personal note, if you can hear a personal perspective, my son's looking to get married here soon, and he's looking for a house, to buy, and he'd probably be about the 5th, maybe 6th generation in our family here in putting down roots again here in this community, and, he has expressed to me, Mom, I don't wanna put down any permanent roots in a place where it's all industrialized. I wanna raise my children in the country, where there are no turbines, where there's no threat, to their health and to their safety. And, I mean, he's just one of many that may or may not be thinking that way, but from this mama's heart, I sure would like my boy to live in this community. And I'd like to make it possible for him to do that and do that safely. So that's just one perspective.
Okay, one more, and then we're gonna
Sorry.
move on.
Sheila Crooks, Douglas Township. Just in response to that, I think there have been lots of decisions made both ways in the past. I think about PFAS, I think about asbestos, I think about CFL bulbs. I mean, not all decisions in the past have been successful. Some of them have been disastrous. So, I think we are thinking about the big picture and the health and safety and welfare of every person, not just the landowners that wanna lease. If you look it up, you'll find that right now in Texas, who's having a major heat wave, and Canada, where their wind farms are, they're having a major failure in wind, because there is no wind. So, we can't,
Okay, anybody
we
else?
can't rely on that.
Peggy.
So he gets like 6 minutes and I get like
Yeah, no,
30
you're not done,
seconds.
so continue, please, you have your 3 minutes.
I'm
Are you sure?
good.
Marcy,
I'm Marcy Myers, Cato Township. I want to thank the Cato Township Planning Commission, who's here tonight, and all your hard work, all your dedicated research hours that we know took months, and your willingness to put the health and safety of all your citizens as priority number 1. We may not have seen eye to eye on certain debatable industrial turbine issues, but we worked together and compromised to create an ordinance that we all can say will protect every citizen, protect our ecosystem, and protect everyone's property rights that exist today. You stood by your oath of office, and I speak on behalf of the majority of this township in telling you thank you, and we look forward to continuing to move this ordinance through with our Cato Township Board tonight. Thank you.
Robert Scott, Sydney Township. Some of us have followed every township's efforts to adopt or amend a wind ordinance. You folks have done something, your planning commission has done something that's quite unique. Didn't start out with an ordinance from some other township, particularly from either from Sydney or as the folks from Apex would have you do. They want you to start out with a Pine River Township ordinance. You didn't do either of those things. You started out with your own ordinance, and you worked with that ordinance, and you built up from there. That was your base. You've ended up with a very good, very solid, very defendable ordinance that applies to your unique circumstance in this township. But most importantly, you've worked with a lawyer who is telling you, who's drafted what the planning commission told you to draft, but has said in the end, this is defendable. It is not exclusionary. It is not exclusionary. It may not allow Apex to do what it wants to do, so what? It's for your township and your township only. Thank you.
Christel, Cato Township. It is not exclusionary because there is no need, there's nobody that lives in this area that has a need or want for electricity that doesn't already have it. So that's how it's not exclusionary. But the Planning Commission has done a tremendous job. Hours and hours and probably hundreds of thousands of hours researching both sides, taking everybody's comment and coming to a good ordinance. And this is the right of the people to expect a democracy even in our own township.
Linda Reynolds. The amount of time that they've put into research, I can't imagine. I've spent hundreds of hours for the last year and a half going through a lot of this, a lot of it I didn't understand. I would ask that each one of you, if there's something you don't understand with terminology or an explanation, there's an attorney and you have a very good planning commission that I'm jealous. Ask them if you don't understand it. Don't just say, well, that sounds right, when you may not even know what LMAX may mean or any of the other terminology, because you haven't gone to those meetings to know. They've got so much more knowledge into it. Ask them. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yep. Charlie Curtis, Cato Township. I just grabbed one of my files, it's in my file, master file, and it's got articles and articles and articles on different aspects of wind turbines. In the last 2 years I've been studying wind turbines, but I haven't done anything close to what the Planning Commission has done. And there's all kinds of articles on the adverse effects of wind turbines, the fact that wind turbines destabilizes the power grid is gonna make electric cars pretty untenable in 30, 40 years. They won't be able to charge their batteries when the intermittent wind cuts out or whatever. But this is just a fraction of what I have. And I don't know what you guys have. Here's just a current one. Wind turbines and adverse health effects, applying the Bradford Hills criteria for causation. This article has over 200 footnotes and bibliographies and references to this is based on studies that have been done. And if you have the idea that you want to alter the Planning Commission's ordinance, I would hope that you would have some solid studies that would show the benefits to this community of any changes you would make. And I would challenge you to tell me an article or a research or information that you have gotten apart from Apex Energy on wind turbines. Can you name some articles that some research, some actual data that you have that's different than what Apex has given you? I'd like to hear it if you have some of that information.
Joe Hanson, Sydney Township. I'm just wondering if you prefer to listen to a fly-by-night traveling salesman trying to push your agenda on our community, or do you want to listen to your community here? I'm Sydney Township. If I'm listening to this community, they don't want these. Are you listening? Apparently your planning commission made a favorable, keep these yahoos out of here. You know, something you ought to consider. Don't listen to these people. They're leasing people's land away for umpteen years. People that are signing these leases without even getting lawyers are stupid, from my opinion. I mean, they could sell them. Next thing you know, foreign countries own those leases. These people don't even realize it, because they don't get a lawyer to look at it. And you're gonna listen to these fly-by-night traveling salesmen for the majority of the people. That's up to you guys. I haven't been to many of these meetings, and I'm already listening to the majority of the people. They don't want these. You're already want me to shut me out. The lady in front of you wants this. Yeah, but how many minutes do you give people?
3.
You give this guy over here how many minutes, and you're already putting your finger up on shut me out? I got my comment in. Thank you, sir.
I just wanna add to that, I lived in the house for 4 generations, I was born there. My trust is all made that my children will get the land that I am on, and I will not have a turbine on it, because I do not want my land destroyed. That is an income, that is an inheritance, and I will be so sad if you go for it.
And see how you interrupted me, another thing I wanna bring up with Alicia, she was saying, people have land with trust, people have land, and when they wanna sell it, how are they gonna sell it when there's a lease up there with these frickin' companies that sell them to whoever? 30 years down the road, hey, say you wanna sell your land, sir, hey, don't interrupt me, say you wanna sell your land, and you have a lease, and you can't sell it because it's locked in for 30 years. You can't buy that out. Who wants to buy it with a lease from a big wind company that's gonna turn around and sell it?
You've had your time.
Oh, now you have a time limit. Thank you, sir. I like your.
I just wanna echo what many other people here have said. I'm sorry, Kay Scott, Sydney Township. I just, I look at Charlie and Marcy and Linda over here, I can look around this room and I can say what Linda said, hundreds of hours of research. Bob and I started out not knowing, because the national dialogue has been, renewable energy is, we all need it, we all want it, it's the way to go. After 2 weeks of doing research, I looked at Bob and I said, are we on the wrong side of this? Being against these going too close to people's homes and everything? And a split second, it was like, no way. We have heard the stories of people who have lived with it, and honestly, it breaks my heart. You had Dan and Nancy Welke speak here. They've been living in a camper. They can't live on their property anymore. They're one couple, and we've heard so many of those all over the world. I just want to say that the people who are sitting here have done their homework. We've watched your lawyer, we've watched the Planning Commission in Cato Township. If we're not in attendance at the meetings, we watch Jamie's videos. We've watched all of it, we've witnessed all of it, we've walked through it with all of you. This is one of the best ordinances we've seen. They've worked hard on it, detail by detail by detail. They've been fair. I would just encourage you to please listen to your community, listen to your planning commission. Geez, some people get upset, it's personal. We respect the work that you have done. We're just asking you to respect your community and your planning commission. They've done a great job.
Two things I'll be quick. First, it feels like everybody's coming off aggressive. I don't know how aware you are with what's going on with Douglas and Maple Valley. We were all under the impression that if the planning commission presents a good ordinance, it's gonna get passed. But because of some of their board's actions, that's where this anger is coming. So we hope that lead, you guys don't follow that lead and you pass that how it is. And thank you, Kay, for mentioning the Wilkies. I don't know how many people actually remember them coming here and giving their testimony. Our local Dan Paris wrote a letter in the newspaper calling them nut jobs and crazy, and that's after he'd been out to their place to express that the reason, and Albert has been out to their place, and the reason why they're having the issues is that 500-foot turbine that's 1,600 feet away, that's 3 times the height, was wrongly placed. That means it was placed too close, although they're fine with 1.5 times the height set limit from your house. They're very two-sided. But that couple, the Wilkies, those were lease signers. Most people do not know that, but they signed a lease. They went through the construction phase when turbines first came into Gratiot, and they missed the first 2 phases of turbines. They didn't get one on their property. By the time the third one came around, their construction, the 6-year construction phase of the lease had expired. They were offered another lease, and they heard the complaints of the neighbors in the community, and they didn't want nothing to do with it. Coincidentally, their neighbor ended up putting up a couple turbines, and that's where all the issues they are having. So when it comes off that these bad anti-winders are hating on the pro-winders, a lot of this is for that benefit. We might have done more research, might have talked to more people and seen some of these tragedies. They bring tears to your eyes. It really, it sucks, and we don't wanna see that come here. Not just the turbines, but man, the anger that would be here after they came, just, it would suck. So hopefully you guys pass this ordinance. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Okay, I'll just say it. Brian O'Shea from Apex Clean Energy. I don't begrudge the work that the planning commission's done, but on behalf of the nearly 500 landowners that are part of the project, over 3,500 acres signed here in Cato Township, our landowners and us as a company have some significant concerns with some aspects of this ordinance. We did submit some formal public comments at the planning commission's public hearing. I don't think the planning commission was able to consider these as part of their deliberations, but I wasn't at that meeting, so I'm not sure how much they dove into it at that meeting. But I do hope that the board takes the time to review our comments, consider them, and like folks have said, the PC took a long time to work on this. I think it's only fair that the board also take some time to review this and understand the implications of it. So, thank you. If you didn't get our comments, I do have copies, but I think all the board got it via email.
Randy Clark, Cato Township, I'll just clarify that we did get, the day before, got their comments, and we, have considered them. We're hoping to maybe even talk about those tonight with you guys, just so, everybody's aware. You guys have had those, as long as we have as well for a good month, so.
Any others? We're gonna close public comment and move on to our meeting. Can we have the bills?
Yes, you may. Pointers for Windows cleaning services annually, $120. State withholding for income tax is $809.49. Private payment is, for the month is $1283.34. KCI for assessor postage is $954.66. Horizon for the phone bill is $154.71. Lakeview Area News for publications, $256. We had a payment to the village of Lakeview for $94 for some trail work. Foster Swift's attorney firm, $2,850.
I can't hear you. Can you speak up a little bit?
I have a hard time too, because everybody's side talking over here. If you guys could be quiet, that'd be great.
Foster Swift, the attorney firm, last month was $2,850. Bunker Tree Service did some tree work at the cemetery for $100. Ranger Waste for dumpster service was $49.21. The village rented a chipper to us for brush removal at the